I don't know if you saw this on social media or not, but the university or the football program, I should say, did its top 10 list of plays from 2022. Um, and I agree with. I'm going to go through some of them. Some of them, to some degree, this list shows that there was no moment in 2022 like there was in 2021 with Keely Ringo. Um, but with that said, I don't think that these moments are the biggest moments of the season. I think they're missing one moment. And I'll talk to you at the end about it. The first number 10, they've got the punt from Georgia. So there's a couple of Tennessee games against Tennessee, plays against Tennessee in here, and that was the punt from Brett Thorson against Tennessee, where he put it right in the corner, and that led in a few plays later to what could have or should have been a safety in the end zone for Georgia with Jalen Carter. But then a play after that, when Tennessee punted the ball back with Stetson finding Lab McConkey for a really important touchdown to get that game going. They've got Jalen Walker's punt block against Kent State in there. I don't think that play mattered in any way. It was a really neat shot, I have to tell you. Small Munden's interception against LSU was a really great acrobatic play. Darnell leaping over people against Oregon. Malachi Starks at number 6 against Oregon was the moment when, like, Kirby had talked to us beforehand about how Malachi had been kind of their most consistent defensive back, which is really saying something because Keely Ringo was back there and Christopher Smith was back there. But that play against Oregon was just sort of like, hello. That interception was an amazing. Paul Abel, who's a photographer for the Chick-fil-A Peach Bowl, he got an amazing shot of that. Number 5 was the touchdown run against Tennessee by Stetson Bennett. It's actually the cover of Double Dogs. This is a blitzing, non-covered blitzing, a free running blitzing linebacker for Tennessee. And Stetson sees him, and it's something that Todd Monken talks about to me. I can't remember if that was before the national championship or if that was before the Peach Bowl, but I think it might have been before the Peach Bowl. Stetson can make people miss, and in this moment, he just scrambled for not just a first down, for a touchdown as well. And they had that number 5, that play. Individually, it's at least number 5. It could be higher than that, but I don't think 5 is necessarily wrong. When you get Double Dogs, you get our 2023 preview. Take advantage of this now. I'm not going to continue this offer forever, so you've been warned. Again, if you are an annual member at Dawg Post, your 2023 preview is in the mail right now. So take advantage of that. The link is down below. Number 4 was Jalen Carter holding up the LSU quarterback. I remember shooting that play, not knowing if Jalen would throw him to the ground, not knowing if he would take Daniels and just like choke slam him into the ground. He didn't do it, and it made for an amazing image. I really should get some of these on the screen for y'all, and I'll do that in a moment as we go. Arian Smith's touchdown, one of the ones I know I don't have because it's not in our database that I keep online. The Arian Smith touchdown against Ohio State, I think you can make the argument it's the most important play of the season. I think that, and I know this is a top 10 list. I know this is not the same thing as saying, oh, these are important plays. But the Arian Smith play against Ohio State was an amazing moment. I mean, not just sort of a big deal, but an amazing moment in an amazing season. It cut Georgia's deficit from 11 to 3, I think it was. So someone else can correct me on that part. Number 2, Brock Bowers. That reception was something the likes of which you're just never going to see again. It's in the book. It was such a good, we're the only ones that have these pictures, by the way, but it was such a crazy moment. It was not a good throw from Stetson. I mean, that ball definitely could have been picked off. And then what happens is when you have players like Brock Bowers that can stick with it and make plays, I mean, the guy is amazing. I write about that play in here because I think it was such an important example of what Brock Bowers can do. I said Brock Bowers began to do the near impossible. Brock Vandagriff, a reserve quarterback who had taken a knee on the sideline, jumped in the air with both hands as Bowers tipped the ball once more before using both hands to cradle it into his possession at the 40-yard line. Gunnar Stockton, a freshman quarterback, threw his hands up with Vandagriff. Backup signal caller Carson Beck put both his hands on his head. What they had seen right in front of them was nearly impossible. Georgia was up 21-0. The Gators used a 17-point run in the third quarter to get within 8 of the Dogs, but Georgia answered a drive later by pounding the Gators with runs of 11, 2, 28, and 22 to score another touchdown, extend the lead 35-20. Fourth quarter touchdown made it 42-20. So these, this gives you perspective about the 22 season. You're just not going to read anywhere else. Everybody's just printing it so they can get paid. This is for people who really care. The number one play according to UGA, or moment, Sports Center moment, if you want to call it that. This was actually a really important play by Christopher Smith. I've talked about this a few times. Here's Chris's reaction to Malachi as they cross the end zone. Now, as a photographer, I have to say that sometimes plays happen and it takes such a long time, and amazing is happening while you're watching it on ground floor. This shot from Ryan Curley would have never happened had we had our act together that day. Let me tell that story real quick. We weren't doing a real good. Some days we don't do a very good job. So I'd ordered a specialty camera for the SEC championship game. I did that for the college football playoff semifinal as well as the national championship game. But I'd forgotten to get an adapter for the lens that we use. So I got that for nothing. I just threw away the money. So Ryan had to use a strange setup that he was not used to. And he was unable to use the he had a 300 millimeter. Usually he would have a 600 millimeter. And 300 means you're wider, 600 means you're tighter. So we would have never gotten that shot had of LSU just sort of going to the sideline that way. That LSU, I'm going to show y'all if I can here as we click through here. That LSU game was an amazing. I mean, LSU was hanging in there for a while, but they couldn't. I got the whole thing here, as you can see. They could not. They just couldn't stick with Georgia. I mean, they got so far behind. First of all, here's the moment like where Chris. I want to kind of get it right because obviously we take a lot of images, or when I say we, I mean I. They've blocked the kick, and there's a moment. Let me find it because sometimes it's not in order. There's this moment where Christopher Smith's just like looking at like, I'm not sure if I should pick this up or not, and I don't know if I actually shot it first. Now that I'm looking back at it, 79. So this is. Has he picked it up here? No, he's not picked it up. Okay. Now y'all can't see the mouse, but I'm actually moving around. The mouse the ball is by Jamon Dumas-Johnson's right foot down there. And look at the fans in the background. Look at those poor LSU fans. I'll try to zoom in. Nah, I can't zoom in. The Georgia fans, they start realizing what's about to happen. And Christopher's about to pick this ball up. And as Kirby and everybody would tell you, if you pick it up, the rule is you have to score. And, obviously, as you can see here, the jubilation from Christopher and Malachi was not insignificant that day. An 86-yard touchdown return of a blocked field goal. LSU was really hanging in there, but they could not. They just didn't have the firepower they needed, and Georgia was just swamping them. So here's a Jalen Carter moment, and I use a 500 millimeter on the field, so I could see him busting through. Where is that shot? And it looked just for a moment like he was gonna slam the guy on the ground, but this is actually not the best image of it, but it's pretty close. It felt like he was going to throw Jaden Daniels on the ground. Just for a moment, it felt like that. But to Jalen's credit, he did not do that. Now here's you can't. This is him picking up the quarterback wide angle. You can't see it as well, and this is him leaving the field after not doing it. So it was an amazing, amazing moment. But I have to say that I do think that the Stetson Bennett moment here was maybe there's a reason why he's on he is on the cover of the book, and it's not just. I mean, certainly Stetson sells, but this photographically is sort of the best. Here's this that image is the image. That is the book cover. I don't know if you can tell or not. But here are all the other shots from that moment. I don't keep all of them, as you can see. But he's running away from the guy. This is Post breaking away from the guy. Same thing. We're going backwards in time. This one Tennessee's in trouble right here when he's broken free. Now, I'm not showing you every single one. So there's the cover of the book. And that one's slightly out of focus. Thankfully, I did nail that one image. This was it. We really, I mean, for us, images are very, very important. This is Stetson actually scoring the touchdown in the bottom left-hand corner. This is him breaking away from, number 10 is on the 25-yard line, falling away. This is him reacting to the touchdown. So, but I do want to make the case that the play I think that's left out here is the missed kick from Ohio State. I just don't know that kick. I feel like I'm a pretty good authority on Georgia football, and there are certain things that Georgia can do and can't. They would not put something like that in their top 10. But in terms of moment of the season, this moment of the season, no doubt, is something that people will always remember. And it makes me think. I'm going a little longer than I usually do, but I want to just say a few things. There's I don't know what the quintessential Herschel Walker image is. For me, it's a black and white image that Georgia used of him diving over the top in the Gator Bowl in, I think it was 1981. It was not 1980 because that, of course, was the Lindsey Scott moment. There's other images that I recall. Curtis Compton is an outstanding photographer. Worked for the AJC forever. He got into the Sugar Bowl locker room and took images of the team celebrating with the trophy, or it was the SEC championship. I can't really remember which it was. I think it might have been the SEC championship that Curtis got in there for. And then, there were better pictures than the ones I took, but the ones of Georgia leaving leaving the field after not winning the 2012 SEC championship game and basically the national championship to Alabama that day. Those were images that were important, but it does feel to me like over time, and here's an image of Aaron Murray leaving that game against Alabama. They didn't shake hands. They just jogged off the field. It was an exhausting, it was an exhausting game for Aaron and them, and narrowly losing it like that. I think only after that game did people appreciate just how good Aaron Murray was. And people forget how much grief he took. Aaron took a lot of grief, most of it not justified. But that game, he really balled out. He really balled out. He as good as he is, sometimes I feel like he's underappreciated as a player. But it wasn't. Let's just see, SEC 30. So it wasn't just that image. It's the ones. Let's see. Here it is, right here. It's really this of David Andrews and everybody walking off the field. There's Wes Blankenship, a very young Wes Blankenship behind him, if you know who Wes is. Taking that image. Here's Kwame Gathers, Christian Robinson, Ty Fricks, all walking off the field with. You don't want to walk off the field with the confetti falling on you and you didn't win. That's not a good. That's not good. Here's the last play, actually. So all those moments are seared into your brain, and I don't know. There are a lot of really great images. One thing, and I can think of one right now too, just real quick, which is I love this picture too. Speaking of, this is just after Georgia, Florida, 2012. That's John Theus, 71 at the bottom, with his brother, number 49, Nathan Theus, and their close friend, Jordan Jenkins, partying with fans. I love that picture. That's a great image. And then I do want to show one last picture, and then I'll stop talking. But Mike Bobo, if you ever wonder if this stuff matters, this is Mike Bobo, who tackled Malcolm Mitchell after the game, after he made the play of the game to win, to win that huge moment. And like everything was on the line for Mark, Rick, Bubba, all of them. And they had to win that game. And they did. But here's John throwing Aaron up. And of course, Malcolm coming off the field with Aaron just after that touchdown. That game was crazy. That was a nerve-wracking game. But of the images, I guess the global point to me is it really does feel like there are, and I've become a better photographer, I will say that. But it feels like the images are bigger now. It feels like the images are bigger, more important. And maybe that's the case because they're playing in bigger games. But the win over Oklahoma, that game was, where are we at here? The win over Oklahoma, I mean, that moment was a huge moment for Georgia in its history. And I was fortunate enough here lately to nail every single image that really kind of mattered, and partly because the play just ran right to me. Whether you're talking about when Alabama won the national championship against Georgia, or with Georgia with A.D. Mitchell, Arian Smith, all those pictures came to the right, to the exact spot where I was at. I've been very fortunate in that front. Here's Sony Michel winning Georgia the Rose Bowl. That's a huge image. That's an image that, right here too, the way that we do it is we go all out, okay? If we're going to cover a game, here he is winning it from up top, as we call it. So these pictures are bigger than they used to be, but we're better shooting too. And I don't have the Ohio State stuff posted. It's taken me this long to go through all this stuff, believe it or not. That's how it's a process. But I think the only thing I'd change is I would have the Ohio State missed kick up there, like way up there. But that's me. Tell me what you think, and the links are down below.